What's up, everybody? Patrick from Fictive Fun here. We're going to do another little campaign diary for the Shadow of the Demon Lord campaign that I'm running over on Twitch. Um, it was kind of I wouldn't say a short session because we played close to 3 hours, but we didn't get all the way through the adventure. We only got about halfway through the adventure, maybe about 70% of the way through the adventure. The characters. So just to do a quick recap. So the time span between sessions was like 2-3 months. So after the first session where they had the encounter at the Moore House, about 2 months had passed, 3 months where they had like learned some things, which is where they gained their novice path in Shadow of the Demon Lord. Um, so Jonah became like a novice magician studying alchemy. Blix focused on rogue skills and was working with actually the brown cloaks in crossings, which I thought was pretty interesting. Um, and that's how like they learn their rogue skills, which is pretty cool. And then Skive took the priest path, but is studying the religion of the Fey realms, so stuff like illusion and Fey magic, which is pretty cool. Their deity is like the Goblin King, but it's different the way the player took it. That Skive is actually believes that like all goblins should treat themselves like a king, because their lives are short. Why use your life on praying to a deity that you may never see, the Goblin King. Instead, everybody give you the Goblin King, which is pretty interesting. So like he chose like the heretic path of a religion. Um, and after the events of the first session, the council, which you see here on your screen, um, the council called the players in to explain their actions, like after a few months, and it was kind of like somewhat subdued, boring proceedings. Um, but the goblins kind of showed out, especially Blix. Blix was speaking out against, the cult of the new god and all that. And John Crawley was trying to accuse the characters of being bad people, murderers, and Father Paulus was kind of fighting for the characters because they saved his cousin, Father Gregory, who they found in the um, basement of the Morehouse. Uh, and then as they were leaving, Master Dreen approached him. Or actually, it wasn't Master Dreen. It was Captain Dramus, who is Master Dreen's friend. Now, I described Captain Dramus as like a super tall human. So, like, Captain Dramus is like 7 foot tall, bald headed. But him and Master Dreen and a boy named Phineas, um, went to the tavern across the street, and uh, Captain Dramus said that Master Dreen's daughter had been kidnapped. Now, Phineas was, or is, his daughter's boyfriend, and there's a ransom of 100 silver to get his daughter back. Well, basically, Master Dreen hires the characters to find his daughter, and Phineas, the teenage boy, like wants to come along. At first, well, Jonah's reluctant to let a teenage boy come along. The goblins are like, "Oh yeah, as long as you're up front, yeah, you can come along." The goblins don't care. They're just like, "Yeah, come on, you get killed, whatever. You'll be a shield for me." Um, but either way, like later on, they go to a brothel to wait until the drop, which is in the alley behind the brothel. Um, so they wait there, and then they kind of stake out the alley. A clockwork comes, picks up the money. They follow the clockwork. Skive decides to like approach the clockwork, and they have like this friendly conversation. It was pretty cool. And the clockwork's not like aggressive to them at all. And then Jonah jumps in and tries to have a conversation. The clockwork's like, "Why are all these people out at midnight bothering me on the docks?" The clockwork's like kind of annoyed. Is like always kind of like in a hurry. Um, but either way, like somebody calls towards the clockwork. The clockwork tells Jonah, "You need to get away because this is dangerous." So Jonah backs off. The clockwork gives the 100 shillings to a rude boy. Now, the rude boys were introduced in the first session as a gang in Crossings, and the players come out and attack the rude boys. Now, Jonah decides to use his technomancy skills, which is another school of magic that Jonah's focusing on, to build like a turret real quick, and the turret like starts firing on the rude boys. They hired a mercenary named Isuru, not the rude boys, but the characters. They hired a mercenary named Isuru, who who did pretty well in this session. He starts firing with a crossbow. He gets a couple hits, and the goblins go running down the docks to jump into this boat that's like pulling away. When I say boat, I mean this is like a rowboat, not a like big boat. And Skive doesn't make it. Skive just runs off the end of the dock, plops in the water. Blix manages to jump in the boat, kill one of them. By this time, Skive makes it to the boat, and knocks out the second guy that's in the boat. So they now have control of this boat. One rude boy is dead, and the other is knocked out. They bring the boat back to shore, and, well, of course, after some goblin infighting over who's allowed to row, which is hilarious. You can just imagine standing on the shore and you're seeing two goblins out there, and they're like beating each other with oars. Anyways, they come back to shore, and Jonah and Isuru wake up the unconscious guy and interrogate him. Now they use pretty sick means of torture to do it, so Jonah gains a corruption for doing that. And after they find out where the rude boys are holed up, which is an island out in the lake, Skive uses his newly found illusion magic to make Jonah look like the dead rude boy. And then after they get the information, Jonah kills the other rude boy. So by this time, Phineas finally shows up. Phineas was in the brothel the whole time. Finally shows up after the fighting. Wants to kill one of the rude boys. And actually, no. Phineas was there during the fighting, yeah, because he was slinging rocks. Because Jonah told him to sling rocks, not to get in melee. I think Jonah doesn't want Phineas to get killed, but like the goblins want, Phineas to be in melee, but he listens to the human. He doesn't listen to the goblins. So they decide to take two boats. Jonah and the goblins in one boat, and then Phineas and the mercenary Isuru in the other boat. And they go to the island, and with Jonah disguised as one of the rude boys, they pull him on shore. They do this ploy where the two goblins are prisoners, and they come to shore, and they dispatch the two rude boys that are on shore. But then they're set upon by another rude boy that heard the noise, came to investigate. But they managed to catch up to him, kill him pretty quickly too. So for the most part, like in combat, the characters are pretty competent this session. One of the combats, the one on the beach against the two rude boys, kind of dragged on because of a lot of poor rolling on both sides. But Blix managed to kill both of them on the beach. Yeah, Blix has murdered like 4 people in this session. But then they come upon a clearing, and I didn't mention that at the beginning of the session, Jonah found out that the green sword that he found in the Morehouse, somebody broke into his tavern and stole it. And then Timmy the orphan told Jonah that, that one of the rude boys stole it. And it was Scarface Marissa, the one that they let go in the first session. So when they come upon this clearing on the island, Scarface Marissa's there. Jonah sees that she's wearing that green sword on her side. And that pretty much where the session ended at, because we were running out of time. The one final cliffhanger moment of the session was Blix and Skive, the two goblins, were kind of hiding in the woods, while Jonah still looked like Patton, the rude boy that they killed, and used the illusion magic on Jonah to make him look like Patton. So Scarface Marissa comes right up to Jonah and is like asking, "Where's the money for the ransom? What the hell's taking so long? What are y'all doing out there?" Um, the two goblins are in the woods, and they both rolled very, very poorly on perception checks. So now they realize that there's cultists there too. There's these hooded people there, and they're coming out of the woods. And the goblins are in a bad spot because there's two cultists that like are right next to them. Um, if the goblins like want to try to do anything, it's going to be tough because they pretty much got surprised because of those poor perception checks. But um, yeah, so that's where we are coming into tonight's session. I'm actually filming this like 4 hours before our session tonight. Um, so yeah, so I gotta figure out what do I do after we finish this little adventure? Because I have the feeling that we will probably finish the adventure maybe in 2 more hours, tops, I think. Of course, I always underestimate these things. I mean, it could take another 3 hours just to finish out this adventure. Mainly because I don't like cutting off the players when they're like in such great roleplay scenes. I just let them roll with it. Um, I know I said last time that like I was gonna try to like really focus the characters into getting an adventure done in 3 hours, but nah, I couldn't do it. Like I just couldn't cut them off and just be like railroad them and like, oh yeah, now you're on the docks. Oh yeah, now you're on the island. I gotta let them have their little role playing scenes because that's fun, and it's not only fun for me, but I think the players enjoy it as well. To have those little role play scenes where they can get into character and have these great little scenes. Um, I mean, the interactions between Jonah and the goblins are absolutely hilarious. Uh, because like Jonah is like the voice of reason, and the goblins are just the voice of whatever, like whatever, like they're the voice of their um immediate ambitions, I should say. um, yeah, so we're gonna have to start like almost in a combat scene. Um, I'll give some spoilers on this. Master Dreen hired the characters to save his daughter and promised them they could keep the ransom money. The problem is his daughter is possessed by a demon. And Phineas knows this because Phineas is part of that with the cultist. And what the cultists want to do is find Candace, who's Master Dreen's daughter, and murder her. Because once they murder her, it completes the ritual, it'll release the demon upon the city. Now, this isn't like a super strong demon, but it's strong enough to cause havoc. This isn't like a demon prince or anything that's going to bring about the end of Crossings, but this demon can definitely cause some trouble in the city. So, the cult wants to get Candace, kill her, and release the demon. Uh, Phineas is with that cult, and so if Phineas gets close to Candace, he's going to murder her. The only problem is Candace is going to become violent and try to run away from the characters if they get a hold of her. Uh, and the signs that she's possessed is that she's like all swollen and stuff. So as we are right now, you got the two goblins that just noticed the cultist coming out. So there's going to be a fight between the cultist, the remaining rude boys, which isn't many. I think there's only 3 left. You got Scarface, Marissa, and there's 2 more. So the cultists are going to be fighting with them. And then I got to see how the characters react in there. And also put Phineas somewhere in there. So does Phineas, like, help the characters for the first part? Or does Phineas go over straight to trying to get Candace? It's going to be interesting. I want to see how it plays out. I want to see what actions the characters take. Because Jonah's disguise is going to wear off shortly. Like, it's going to wear off almost immediately while he's talking to Scarface Marissa. That's going to be interesting. I might let the fight start and then have that illusion magic wear off, which would be pretty interesting. Because perhaps maybe he'll be fighting back to back with Scarface Marissa, and then she's gonna realize like, oh shit, this isn't Patton. These are those bastards that wanted to take my knife back at the Mar house. So that's gonna be pretty interesting. Another thing is that this session is short. Uh, do I just cut the session short and then add the characters do their level up stuff before the next session, or should I just jump right into the next session? And I think I'll ask the players that at the start to see what they want. But yeah, this the session 3. I'm not gonna really do prep on uh, as of right now. I do got a few things like which may lead them to the area, and I may, if they want to play starting out in the next session, I'll just do mostly like role play stuff without having like the encounters and stuff in there. Um, because this is going to be at the town that Jonah's from, or it's going to go through the town that Jonah's from. So there might be some interesting family family drama there, we should say. But yeah, I'm interested to see which way this goes. I'll do another one of these campaign diaries after tonight's session, which should have some more prep for the third session. So yeah, definitely. If you're watching this, check us out. We're on Twitch TV slash Fictive Fun, and we're having a blast playing. So come in and chat with us. I know the players love jumping in chat and talking with the audience, which is still small at the moment, but there's still, there's a few people out there that have been watching, both of the last sessions and really getting into the story and throwing out some hilarious comments in there. Oh yeah, one more thing. Let me go to this. This is a wiki, Shadow the Demon Lord wiki. I'll put the description and the link below. So basically, I was like, you know what? Let's do a wiki and throw the PCs in there and the NPCs in there and maybe some of the items and locations. Right now, it's not fully fledged out. You got the PCs, you got some NPCs here, and as you can see, like a lot of the NPCs are in here. So yeah, if you're more interested in following along with this campaign, definitely take a look at this wiki. Like I said, I'll put the link down in the bottom. But I told the players, I'm like, look, I started a wiki. Feel free to jump on there and add some stuff if you'd like some stuff about your character to be in there. So it'd be a cool little artifact of our campaign, which I always find interesting. I love game artifacts. But yeah, I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut it right there. If you're watching this, I appreciate it. If I ramble too much, I apologize. But yeah, definitely check us out on Twitch, and you'll see me after this next session. Well, after the next session. Time. Don't ever play with time in your games. It gets really confusing. The other way, I'm rambling again. I appreciate you watching, and yeah, definitely check us out. Patrick, peace.